So, yesterday I talked a little bit about your inner circle and how important it is who is in your inner circle. Having a good balance, but also making sure that you are surrounded by people who believe in you. Today I wanted to touch a little bit on that, but also talk about some truths that it's really important for you to remind yourself of when you're struggling, with self doubt or you're struggling with just that inner critic. And so, one of the things I wanted to talk about is just a good reminder, which is that 99% of the time, people are not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves, and how important this is to teach this to our children, but also to remind ourselves of that. It's so important for you when you're in a work setting and you're having a conflict with someone and you feel like other people are you feel a shift in the room. It's important, one, to learn to trust your intuition. Like, is this my gut and my stomach feeling this, or is this in my chest? Is this anxiety? But it's also important to remember that 99% of the time people are thinking about themselves. So if you're having some conflict with someone at work and their best friend walks into a meeting and is a little bit colder than usual, reminding yourself to check yourself and say, like, hey, why in the world would I be, you know, that on that person's mind when they could have so many other things going on. They could have gotten a fight with their partner that morning. They could be stressed out about some work stuff, responsibilities. They could be dealing with being in trouble with the boss. They could be frustrated with someone else in the room. But really checking yourself to say, like, do I really need to entertain this narrative? Because this is going to take my peace, this is going to ruin my day, and this is then going to show up for me and make it very difficult for me to do my job and for me to find happiness. I think it's so important to ask yourself those questions and to remind yourself that 99% of the time, even if you have conflict with somebody on a Friday and they show up on Monday and they're a little bit cold towards you, they've had 3 days at home where they were not thinking about you. In fact, most of us don't want to think about conflict. We want to get involved in other things. And if someone's being a little bit weird with you, more than likely what they're thinking is they're wondering what you're thinking of them. They're wondering if you're upset with them. And so kind of giving yourself that perspective shift of, maybe if I was to be the one to like break the ice and say hi and be warm and friendly with them, see what happens when you do that. 99% of the time, that person's going to be friend and warm back with you, even if they have other stuff going on in their life. And you're going to realize that the narrative you built up in your head, all this like pain that you put yourself through, was for nothing. So working on that piece. Another truth is to remember that when you are going after goals or dreams or just dealing with something, that when you talk to those people in your inner circle, you are going to get, a multitude of opinions. You're going to get some opinions that are just dead wrong. You're going to get some opinions that may be truthful and in a sense, but mostly what you're going to get is you're going to get people giving you advice that they would give themselves because they're thinking from their experience, their perspective, their knowledge, and then on top of it, their fears are showing up. So if you're talking to somebody in your family who has always played it safe, they're going to tell you to play it safe. They may not understand that you taking this once in a lifetime trip to, go move to a different country is actually, this amazing opportunity. They can't fast forward and see, and neither can you, what can happen in a few years. But what they're going to do is give you advice that they think is helpful, that they think is going to protect you, and also advice that they would take. And so keeping that in mind of who you're talking to, it is helpful to get a balance. Yes, to kind of get all the information and see on the spectrum where you land. But at the end of the day, you need to feel good about it in your gut. But you also need to be aware that other people's bias and their fears are showing up. You also need to be aware of the people in your life who that relationship may not be serving you. And, if you're talking to a friend and you've noticed that whenever they watch other people building their businesses, this could be your best friend, but you've seen that when other people are sharing their businesses or their careers on, social media, that this person is very critical. It would be naive to think that this friend is going to be your biggest support, when more than likely the reason why they're so critical of other people is because when we see other people chasing their dreams, what it does for us is one of two things: it can inspire us, or two, it can bring up our own insecurities and our own issues that we didn't follow our dreams or that we weren't brave enough. And so it is helpful to ask yourself, does this person benefit from keeping me small? Or, does this person benefit from not seeing me go after my dreams? Because if I go after my dreams and, I succeed, what does that bring up for them? What challenge does that bring up in their head and their mind? It can actually, for other people, really create a lot of resentment or guilt for the things that they did not do, which is for them to work out, no fault of their own. And I don't think that enough people do the work to see that that's what's going on when they're giving this advice of, don't do that, that's scary, or you'll never be successful. And then the third truth is that nobody knows you better than you do. You know your experiences, you know what you've been through, you know what you've survived, you know the vision that you see, and the vision, maybe not completely, but you have an idea of how you're going to get there. You also may have a belief system like I do, which is that there are so many possibilities, right? And that sometimes we have to create opportunity, and that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you can figure it out along the way. But entrepreneurs, they don't typically have the money in the bank account or have it all figured out. And it does take great risk, and it does emotional and financial, and it does take a brave soul to do the things that you're going to do. And so you might be more brave, than the other people around you. And on top of it, no one knows you like you know you. You know that if this is important to you, that you're not going to give up and that you're going to keep going. And so someone else may think that they're actually helping you, but when in turn their advice is actually hindering you. So just remember who you are, what this means to you, and that you know that you're not going to stop. And remind yourself of that when you are struggling.